Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome back. We have another interview with employment attorney Erica Domingo. Erica, thanks for joining us. I wish it was for a better circumstance, but we have another toxic workplace we have to discuss.
Glad to be back, Bill. And actually, I'm happy we get to bring this kind of stuff to light.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's crazy in today's world that we still have to talk about things like this, but we do. So we're here today to talk about Hearst Magazine. There was an article that hit last week describing the toxic workplace that was created over the years. But what are your impressions of that story, Erica?
Bill, my sense is that this was a situation, an environment that was created from the top down. The allegations relate to the president of Hearst Magazines, Troy Young, who my understanding has since stepped down from his position. And it seems like it was something that trickled down into each of the different magazines that is a part of Hearst and created an environment that was not safe for a lot of the employees. They felt like they were being discriminated against.
Yeah, and to a lot of our viewers out there, the name Hearst Magazine may not ring a bell, but when they hear about the different magazines that they actually publish, they're going to know who we're talking about. Who exactly is Hearst Magazine, Erica?
Hearst covers over 20 different titles, I think. They include Cosmopolitan, Good Housekeeping, Red Book, Harper's Bazaar, Elle, Esquire Magazine, Car and Driver, Men's Health, Women's Health, 17, and even O Magazine.
Erica, now the article describes Hearst as being a toxic workplace. What is a toxic workplace, and is that a legal term that can be used in a court of law?
Bill, toxic workplace is not a legal term of art. We do have a somewhat equivalent term called a hostile work environment. And that doesn't mean what people think it means. It doesn't just mean your boss or your coworker is hostile or mean or rude to you. It actually has to do with offensive, oppressive behavior in the workplace that relates to an individual's membership in a protected class. So if you're treating someone differently or picking on them or calling them out because of their race, their religion, their age, their disability, that kind of thing can be the basis for a hostile work environment claim, which pretty much is a toxic workplace.
Now, Erica, going off of the facts that are listed in this article, if in fact true, what type of legal recourse could one of these employees have against the company?
So, Bill, I know this happened in another state, but if this were to occur in a workplace in New Jersey, an employee would have a claim for a hostile work environment under the New Jersey law against discrimination. And they would be entitled to recover compensatory damages, which includes damages both for lost wages and for their emotional distress.
Now, you mentioned lost wages, which would probably be easy to calculate. What about the emotional distress? How do you calculate those sort of damages in a case like this?
Unfortunately, emotional distress damages really cannot be calculated. That's something that is left to the discretion of a judge or a jury at the time of trial. And a jury can think about how long it was endured, how long they were in the work environment, how long their emotional condition was altered after leaving the work environment, if the person continued to suffer, whether they sought some kind of mental health or therapeutic treatment as a result of what was going on. All of those things a jury can take into account, but ultimately the jury gets to decide what they think that's worth.
Now, there have been allegations against Hearst Magazine with regard to racial discrimination. What type of evidence would a victim need to gather to prove the case of racial discrimination against the company?
Bill, that's going to depend on what kind of discrimination is alleged. If an employee is alleging there were comments made in the workplace, they may want to talk to their coworkers, see if anybody is willing to come forward that heard these comments take place in the workplace. If their state allows it, they may want to record conversations themselves and possibly capture these things. But the easiest thing an employee can do is document everything for themselves, keep a journal of dates, times, and places these comments took place. If the allegation is not about comments in the workplace, but about employees being treated differently because of their race, some of the things that they could possibly get as evidence would include pay records to show difference in pay between employees of different races, or policies, workplace policies, and evidence that maybe those policies are being enforced differently as to employees of different races.
Now, one of the allegations being alleged in this article involved a woman of color, and they were making disparaging remarks about her appearance with regard to her hair and her makeup. When does that raise to a level where leadership can be held accountable for those comments?
So Bill, that comes back to the hostile work environment we were talking about before. And in New Jersey, the courts require that the conduct be either severe or pervasive. Severe means that it could be a one-time comment that is a racial slur or epithet that is so egregious that can rise to the level of creating a hostile work environment. And pervasive means that the conduct is going on over and over a period of time. So an individual employee must be able to establish that either one of those is going on to have a claim for a hostile work environment.
So Erica, what can everyone do to make sure that their workplace does not become toxic?
Bill, employers can start with strong policies against discrimination and harassment in the workplace and strong enforcement of those policies. In addition, employees all have an obligation to report this kind of conduct in the workplace and know that if you are an employee who reports a hostile or discriminatory work environment, you may be protected from retaliation. So if somebody comes after you because you made that complaint and they terminate you or they demote you, take any kind of action against you in the workplace, you're protected too.
Yeah, this is really great information, Erica. People out there need to understand we cannot allow toxic work environments to exist. Even if it's not happening to you, but you observe it, speak up. There are laws that protect you against retaliation, as Erica indicated. If we're not speaking up, we're not helping make changes. So Erica, thank you so much for coming on. Thanks for the information. People need to hear this.
Bill, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm sorry we keep meeting under these circumstances, but I agree. It's so important that we keep bringing these things to light and making sure people understand what their rights are in the workplace.
Yeah, so as long as these toxic work environments still exist, we're going to keep coming on, keep putting out content. If you guys like what you see, follow us on whatever channel you're watching. Talk to you guys soon.